Okay. There we go. There goes my fucking phone. Also, I need to enable the live chat. Copy video URL. I haven't done one of these in a while, bro. I might have to get rid of it and then reapply it. Should be a plugin, right? Where is it, dammit? File video web page. No, god damn it. What's up, Lightning? What's up, ASAP Rail? Yeah, we're gonna have a conversation. Yeah, I'm off this week, but I wanted to do this because I think it's important. Where the hell is it? Streams. No. I'm trying to add the fucking HTML chat. Because we got something important to talk about. So I wanted to make it a stream. I debated on whether or not I wanted it to be a video or not. But I think realistically it probably makes more sense to be a stream. Not a scene. Flash. I'm going to get into it. Find more sources. Where is it? Oh, here it is. I think it's this one. Alright. Add this. I'll explain it in a second. Give me a second. What's up, Zachary saying? Close. So it's this right here, which is right here. Right click it. Alright, I got it. I just need to change a couple things. First thing, put it over here. Squish it down to about here. I can hide timestamps. I don't care about that. Oh no, we're gonna talk about it. Give me 1 second, guys. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna jack up the text size to about this. And then I'm gonna stretch it down here and here. Alright, we should be Gucci. So I'm gonna position the camera here and we're gonna talk about it. So for those who don't know, because you may not, at this point I feel like you probably have already seen the you probably already seen the cease and desist in the situation with the free melee and free smash and save smash hashtags, which are pretty much based on the tournament. It was the Big House tournament. Was supposed to be having a online tournament for Ultimate and Smash Melee, and Nintendo sent them a cease and desist letter to stop all that. And then after a bunch of outcry, Nintendo, I think a couple days later, put out their own like little response explaining their reasoning supposedly for it, which was because they were using a mod called Slippy, which allowed Melee to be played online as the short version. And Nintendo said that was the reason why, that they wanted to use an illegal mod, as they phrased it, even though Slippy isn't illegal. But, and we'll get into that in a second, but they wanted to use that mod to make Melee online because of Corona. You didn't want people out here in a giant tournament together. So that's why they had to do it online. So according to Nintendo, they supposedly told them beforehand, if you stop using that mod, we'll allow the tournament, which realistically meant that what you really were saying is because of the current situation that either you you essentially can't do Melee online. But that's really what it boils down to. You can't do Melee online, and you would have to drop Melee from the tournament because we're not allowing that mod to be used. Supposedly they refused, and then that's what kicked the whole cease and desist letter. So supposedly they gave them the warning that you got to not use the mod. They said, no, we're going to still use the mod, supposedly. And they were like, well, cease and desist letter, now you can't do the tournament at all. And so this free Melee and save Smash tags have really blown up because of it. And then on top of that, there supposedly was a twit longer that came out that exposed that Nintendo has had an inherent goal in undercutting the Smash community, not just Melee, but supposedly Melee, Brawl, 4, and Ultimate. The Nintendo just actively chooses to undercut all those. Now, because that one's based on hearsay, that one I'm gonna mention it and correlate some things to it, but I'm not gonna go and treat it. It's not necessarily proven fact, although a lot of people would say they could probably agree with certain aspects of it because of their own current dealings in the Smash community. Now, for me personally, I don't deal in the Smash community to that extent. I enjoy the game. I've enjoyed the game since Melee. That's the first one I played. I played a little bit of 64, but I grew up with Melee. And then Melee, Brawl, 4, and Ultimate. So, for me personally, this is not necessarily as much of an issue for me as someone who doesn't play Smash competitively, nor do I make a living off of Smash. But it is important to say, and it gets into some things. So, because the twit longer has interesting tidbits into it, but I feel like people are misconstruing an aspect of it. But we'll get into it. So we're going to break it down. That there was no financial incentive to mods and emulation. I don't think Nintendo would have personally have cared. I don't even think it was the cash prize. I'll be real with you. You know what it was? I think it was the mods. I think Nintendo has I think really the mods is the main reason why this won't get fixed. What's up, Sleep? The mod situation is the main reason. Regardless if the mod is legal or illegal, because Nintendo doesn't care, Nintendo actively hates mods and hacks. To give you a perspective, Nintendo still puts out updates on the 3DS and Wii U consoles that they don't really put games out on anymore, especially the Wii U, and they call them stability updates. Now, if you're someone who is used to this and has looked this up, you would know most of these stability updates are really just hack patches. Pretty much trying to get rid of the exploits that a lot of modders and hackers use to get into the system to download their custom firmware onto the console. Nintendo really has a hard on for not wanting hacks and mods on their systems or games. I think they've banned YouTubers for doing mods and hacks on their fucking consoles, the Switch included. That's what they do. And so when I say the final hurdle, it's gonna be that. It's going to be that. And even though, so I think that's the one reason why this whole free hashtag free Melee or save Smash won't mean anything, because that's the one thing they probably aren't going to bend on currently. Now, the chance is still there, and if they do, it's going to mean a lot in the waves of Nintendo. But to quickly explain where my thought process comes from when I say these things, is that Nintendo's issue with mods also stems from a split in their division. The twit longer, if anyone read it, mentioned how Nintendo would have these weird glimmer of hope moments, but they would never pan out with like Nintendo and stuff. They would never pan out with Nintendo, and the reasoning behind it I don't think is as necessarily as Nintendo trying to keep Smash in this weird middle ground where they can still take advantage of it. I think it's a conflicting interest situation. where I think there's two branches of Nintendo. I'm using this as a simplified version so things don't get too complicated, and maybe it'll be easier for you guys to understand my comparison here. I think there's young Nintendo and old Nintendo. Now, this all branches from the mistakes Nintendo made back when they first got started. Remember, Nintendo used to license out their IP like crazy. And it'd be like, all right, you can use it for this, you can use it for that. And as you all know, that led to decisions and situations that led to some not so great media. CDI, cartoons that didn't really accurately represent the characters. Simply put, Nintendo got burned on a lot of deals where they put their IP out. And so Nintendo, as a response to having their IP get fucked up so many times, became incredibly restrictive and wouldn't let their IP out for nothing. It'd be like, you can't do nothing with Nintendo IP. And that shit lasted, I would say, all the way up until maybe like a few years ago. Maybe like 2017, 2016, where they wouldn't let people touch their shit. Remember the creators program on YouTube? The fact that they would fucking like claim your video if you put out anything? That's what Nintendo was very much like, you can't touch my IP at all. And in recent years, they've improved it, but it's only been a couple of years. Like, they got rid of the creators program. They don't fucking copyright claim you for streaming Nintendo games anymore or using Nintendo footage. They've improved. But then you get things like Nintendo Versus, for example. This is an example of old versus young Nintendo. Meaning, and as someone who speaks from personal experience, I genuinely believe Nintendo Versus was very much a young Nintendo idea. This was young Nintendo developers or people in the company who are like, I genuinely want to see more competitive scene shit from Nintendo. I think we can make a lot of our franchises big in the competitive scene. We should have something to promote and foster it. And Nintendo is open-minded enough to allow those people to get that, but pretty much it just turned into you're gonna have to manage it. Like, for example, I think one of the best examples is like JC from Treehouse and fucking Bill Trenton. I think they genuinely care and have a love for the competitive scene, and I think that younger generation, even though Bill is relatively old, but I think that generation is what pushed that whole versus Nintendo and some of the tournaments and shit. That's what pushed it. But when it came to fostering specific communities like Smash, the old generation still wanted to keep certain lines in place, which meant not giving out a lot of financial support or restricting which tournaments could use Nintendo games. I think old Nintendo, old branch, has a very inherent issue with like the competitive scene for their games and having people other than them touch their IPs. I very much believe that Nintendo still doesn't like the idea, old branch Nintendo does not like the idea of people touching their fucking IPs. But the young branch is allowed a little bit of leeway, so what you end up getting is a lot of hopeful situations where like young branch Nintendo can do certain things, but because some of the bigger decisions like having your tournament run in a circuit, having your game run in a circuit, still relies on upper branch old Nintendo making those decisions and saying yay or nay. You get like the pass through with young Nintendo branch, but the old branch just said fuck it. The old branch literally just said no. Hey, what's up, Ayers? And the mod situation, like I said, is another example of that. That is something Nintendo actively hates. Regardless if it's legal or not, they do not like their shit to get modded. That's why I say I don't believe that they're going to fix this situation with this tournament. Because it's a mod. And old school Nintendo, I probably would bet money, hates mods with a passion. Or emulation, for God's sakes. They hate both of those things. Because a lot of people always bring up examples in other fighting games where people did mods or emulation to fix the net code or like aspects of a game, and those developers like hired those people or legitimized those patches, which is great community work. Nintendo don't give a fuck about none of that realistically. Nintendo only cares about the core issue. So when I say their final hurdle, a lot of people, for the longest time, I thought Nintendo's final hurdle was going to be sexualized content. The last thing Nintendo would struggle with trying to move forward with would be the sexualized and censorship content. I was dead fucking wrong. Their biggest hurdle is going to be hacked, modded, emulation, any modifications to a game content. That's going to be their final hurdle, and it's going to be the hardest hurdle because they're very much ingrained in the idea that no one should be touching their IPs in that way. And it comes from being burned in the past, and even though they become more lenient in the future, the leniency they have currently is more towards big companies like movie companies or game studios. It ain't got shit to do with the fucking bottom end user, us, the guys who just go out and buy a fucking game. The one thing I have seen is that Young Nintendo Japan has been sponsoring Hulu VTubers to stream their games lately. That's what I'm saying. Nintendo's still at odds with themselves. So I know a lot of the issues that the Smash community has with Nintendo, I don't really think it's all Nintendo. It's the older branch of Nintendo that makes those fucking decisions. But I understand the frustration of the Smash community, because think about it. If your favorite game was actively barred from becoming better because the company that made the game does not like that scene. And think about it, and let's be real here, Smash's community partially was built on emulation / mods. Project M being the most notorious. They were very much based in that. Jesus Christ, phone. It's like 16 notifications. Or am I just now getting notifications for things I was already doing? But yeah. So the biggest problem is that young Nintendo is allowed to do certain things. Nintendo is growing in the sense that they're allowing young Nintendo to push out ideas. I think Labo is a good example. Actually, you know what a better metaphor would be? Take the turtle and the hare. Nintendo is the turtle all the time. Nintendo is a turtle about every fucking thing, with their online features, with their infrastructure for HD game development, for allowing user-created content. Nintendo is a turtle about everything. And this partially comes from their fucked up decisions they made when they were younger and more mature and let their IP get fucked up. They very much want to be like how Disney used to be with their IP, where nobody can touch their fucking IP. Disney was very much in the same vein. They do not want no one touching their IP. And that made sense back in the day because they had to rebuild their IP's quality brand. Nowadays, it feels like you're already up here. Nintendo's already up there with their IP. Like, Mario is gaming's Disney. I think we've already been through this, all right? Nintendo still wants, and Nintendo's more lenient with higher end studios, but they do not trust the little guy at all. And the fact that Smash's community, which partially built on modded content, modded, emulated, whatever the fuck you want to call it, content, I think part of that irks the older branch. I think young Nintendo has no problem with it, but it's a company that's odds with itself because it still lets their young branch do things, but it won't let them make those kind of decisions. So the Smash community, which is their biggest fighting game, I don't give a fuck what they tell you, is their biggest fighting game, will never get off the ground because Nintendo still hasn't made a decision themselves. When one or two people do something wrong, everyone pays the price for it. That's why we have so many laws, restrictions, because of the doofuses. Seeing Nintendo uncensor fan service is positive for me, especially for anime games. Exactly. Nintendo is making changes. They're growing, but they're being a turtle about it. Uncensoring fan servicey content was something that most companies were doing before the Switch era. The Switch era was realistic. And not saying the Wii era didn't have uncensored content. Not saying the Wii U era didn't have uncensored content. But Nintendo during the Wii U era was probably the worst, where they were very much trying to be in control of the narrative. And they become looser and looser in the Switch generation. But this big ass hurdle, this last major thing, is going to be that modded fucking content. They have got to let that go. Because that's going to be that, and to me, that's going to be the hardest one. Because that's the one they don't want to let go. Old Nintendo is very much going to be on this, you can't touch it. And there's no way to legitimize it. That's the problem. They're very much stuck in that mindset. They're very much stuck. Remember, this is the same company that actively puts out stability or hack-breaking patches on old consoles they don't support anymore. Now, we get more we get more stability updates than we do get new features. Why? Because they very much value that shit way higher than they need to. Even though realistically they will never stop it. That's the irony of it all. They will never, ever, 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 ever stop that shit. They will never stop that content. They will never stop people from doing it. But they very much want to try. And it struggles and it creates such a bad relationship because of it. So like, I very much support people trying to get a real answer out of Nintendo. You're not going to get it. I don't personally think you're going to get it because it involves modded content. If this was just like the Evo situation with Charity and Smash Melee then back in, what was that, 2013? That one was an easier win for the fan base, in the sense that the fan base, Nintendo didn't really have anything to be objectified against. I mean, think about it. It was a charity-based event. Your game was being streamed in its original form. It wasn't a modded or altered form of the game. It was the OG Melee played on GameCubes, on CRTs, for charity, for Evo. There was no fucking reason to stop that game, which is why they changed their minds, because they didn't have enough shit to have a problem with. I don't think this tournament situation is going to change purely because of that fucking mod or that emulation that allows Melee to be played online. That is enough. It doesn't take a lot for Nintendo to be like, no, we're not letting it go. And so that's the core of the problem. Nintendo's not gonna drop the modded situation. Now they did and said, okay, it's cool. I would be fucking floored. And to be fair, Nintendo has made its changes. Nintendo has definitely made changes in that direction to become more modern. They're just so fucking slow about it. And I feel bad for the Smash community because they're the ones who suffer the most. People have genuinely been able to make a living off of playing Smash. And it's insane to me. It's one of the only fighting games that part of the reason why it's not legitimized is Nintendo. Part of the reason why this IP doesn't get the same respect in the fighting game community is because the developer who makes it has a level of resentment towards it. They actively choose not to let... They actively are choosing to let their IP be stuck in this box. And part of me thinks that maybe it's because they don't want it, that old branch of Nintendo doesn't want to get into that at all. And so, or maybe it's just, but I really think it's at odds. Old branch of Nintendo doesn't care, young branch of Nintendo does. So it's just constant pushing and forward. And the problem is you guys aren't seeing the internal struggle that's going on. All you guys are seeing is Nintendo is pulling a tournament off because of the mod, or Nintendo Versus is pushing out a Mario Aces tournament and a Splatoon 2 tournament and a Smash Ultimate tournament. Like you're seeing these two things constantly clash. But we're not seeing this part. We're not seeing this shit in the background. You're seeing the shit on the other side of the wall that just leaks out from the debris. You're just seeing this. You're just seeing little things come out. And I think that's gonna be their problem. That modded content shit's gonna be their problem. I mean, for God's sakes, they were getting rid of YouTubers. They were getting rid of YouTubers who were just talking about modding their Switches. They do not like that content, and that's gonna be their biggest hurdle. And the irony is, I think once they get over that hurdle, it'll make them supremely better as a company, because then they'll focus on legit feature updates instead of these fucking stability updates we keep getting. It trips me out that we've got more stability updates than legit feature updates at this point. I give Nintendo about 6 months to make the necessary changes and updates. It depends. The modded wall is a big wall for them. I already can tell. It's gonna be a huge fucking wall for them, and I don't know if they're willing to make that decision. I don't know. I don't know what has to change, but it's gonna have to be something. I don't think this hashtag is gonna do it. This hashtag might be the beginning of it, but it's not gonna do it. Let's see. I'm actually checking. Ironically enough, think about it. The Nintendo Versus account was made in 2017 when the Switch started. This is still a very much new thing for them. I mean, obviously the Switch needs to be... I like how everything is literally turned into the Switch upgrade. I mean, obviously, but we're not really talking about that. I'm just talking about Nintendo's hurdle as a company in terms of dealing with this. Like, they recently just did another Splatoon tournament. They're tweeting out about. Actually, there's a lot of Splatoon stuff now that I think about it. The Mario Aces. I think Nintendo wants to be a part of that scene, but they want to do it on their own terms. And that's not healthy. Especially if you go off of some of the shit that was said in that twit longer. They mentioned how there were companies that were willing to work with Nintendo, and Nintendo just would not respond to them whatsoever. And part of it, I think some of it was based on the fact that Ultimate was coming out. And then I think the other part is that Nintendo, I think eventually will fix their shit with this stuff. But man, it's going to take them so long, bro. It's going to take them so fucking long to get to that point. And some people are not gonna want to wait, and realistically that means we're all suffering in the background. Now, granted, the modded shit doesn't really affect the casual gamer. That's the other thing. Like, let's be real here. Smash is one of those franchises that will survive even without a hardcore like having the competitive scene. The competitive scene helps them, but they can survive without it. Anyway, Nintendo will never let go of this modding thing, overly protective IP thing, until most of the old guard is gone. I wouldn't say that, because think about it. The fact that they're even letting Nintendo Versus exist, the fact that they backed off of the YouTube nonsense. The modding situation, I do imagine, is going to be the longest thing. It's going to be the thing that takes the longest amount of time. I need to be a politician? No, I don't. I don't like people enough to be a politician. All I'm saying is that's the thought process I'm coming from. That Nintendo needs to get over that hurdle. And it's going to take them a while. Oh shit, that was loud. Thank you for the donation, Sorasan. Jesus fucking Christ. Scared me. Hold on. I didn't even get to read the fucking message. Well, I think the Smash community won't die from it. The Smash community will not die from it. Smash community has always been pretty consistent about maintaining itself. But you gotta. I think everybody in that fan base recognizes it sucks that their fucking community is so strong, in spite of the company that made the game. Like that just bothers people, and I mean that's rough, bro. That's like saying competitive Pokemon. That's like being a competitive Pokemon player in spite of the fact that Game Freak hates competitive Pokemon. That's what it feels like, and it sucks. Nobody wants to be in that situation. Nobody wants to be in those situations. So it's low key frustrating in the fact that we got to play the waiting game. We're waiting for Nintendo to get their shit together, and I'm really hoping that I don't think this situation is going to fix the problem, but it might kickstart the fix for it. The censorship shit, Yusuf, they seem to be already past. For the most part, they really don't censor anything anymore. I mean, for God's sake, Xenoblade 2 coming out, I was just like, damn. Oh no, definitely, Sora-san. That's part of the problem. It's like Nintendo, you had every chance in the world to make your IP greater, and you chose not to because it involved relying on the community. I don't think they want to rely on the community like that. I really don't. I really don't. I don't think they want. I think they want to be control of the narrative the whole time. And I'm like, that's not how this works. That's not how community content works. Community content works with the community doing their own shit. And I think part of Nintendo understands that. But only part of them. And it's not the part that makes the decisions either. It's the part that probably has to grind their asses out to get these small little victories. And man, it's going to be a fucking problem, bro. But I very much support the hashtag. I don't. Why doesn't Nintendo do more ports, remaster, remakes for Zelda games to Switch? I'm not sure. I think because Zelda, just to quickly touch it, Zelda, I think is more so they will push for the games they feel like need it. Nintendo's actually been pretty relatively. Nintendo is very known for porting shit, but for whatever reason, they always do the weirdest porting decisions. Like, let's do remaking ports of N64 games on the 3DS and not on the console, where it probably would have sold more. The once in a while thing when Nintendo fucked up on something. I mean, ports could happen next year too. I don't know if I want my IP in the Smash community after all those Me Too confessions either. I mean, I imagine that didn't help ASAP Rail, but I also imagine that wasn't like the only fucking thing. I don't think that was the only fucking thing for them. And to be fair, they've been doing this gating shit since like Brawl and Melee. And Melee and Brawl specifically was pretty much the modded game saga. Like the way people were playing Brawl for the most part wasn't OG Brawl, it was probably Project M. And that was a whole saga in itself. And then supposedly, according to the Twitlonger, half the reason why Project M got dropped the way it did was because there was like, the idea was supposedly they were being told that the reason why Nintendo didn't want to work with certain tournaments was because they were supporting a modded version or a emulated version of the game. And so a lot of people dropped Project M in hopes that they would be able to be official about it, and that shit never panned out. I'm very much believing that was a young Nintendo idea that old Nintendo never followed up on. Meaning, young Nintendo thought that if they were playing legit versions of the game, that old Nintendo would be more open to running like official sponsored tournaments. And old Nintendo said, nah, we still don't care. And like I said, this is just an idea. This isn't like fact because I don't have any proof. This is just a thought process I've come to. After begging of certain characters, yeah, I wouldn't want Nintendo to have that control. Thoughts on Nintendo, including so little in storage on the Switch and no expandable storage besides the SD memory cards. Well, Nike, that's expandable storage though, which is apparently going to be better than what we're currently going to be dealing with on fucking PlayStation 5 and Xbox One X, where we're not even getting like full terabyte hard drives or SSDs at this point, and you can only do certain SSDs on the PS5. It's going to be a whole fucking next gen's going to be a whole problem with storage. Especially when we're pushing 4K content and we still got to install shit on the disc or on the console. So it's gonna be a whole fucking saga. I hope that more pressure will change things. The only way to make these companies flinch is if they feel threatened by a loss of sales. Nintendo has no reason to feel the way how things are selling. Nintendo doesn't, but Nintendo's felt this way for a while. I think, like I said, I think the core of it comes to the mistakes they made in the past and them not wanting to repeat it. The problem is it's taking you way too long to get to it. They're just now starting to loosen up on their IPs a lot. And like I said, it's still only on certain companies. So it's still like, they're still very much, we're still waiting for them to catch up. Like realistically, that's realistically what it boils down to. I'm waiting on Nintendo to catch up with the rest of the industry in terms of loosening up on their IP. And the modding part of it will be the last thing to go. Because that's going to be their biggest hurdle. That's why I called it. That's why the name of the stream is Nintendo's Final Hurdle. Once they get over the modding shit in the emulation, once they're willing to move past that part of it, they will be a better company for it. Because then they'll do things like work with people who made these rollback net codes for Smash or some shit, right? Or people who made these mods for Melee. And then they can make it official. And then they could sell Melee with just that net code. Sell the game again and make a bunch of fucking money off it because the competitive community doesn't give a shit. Here's an official version of the game that has proper net code behind it. These are the things they can potentially do. But it's going to take a while. But like I said, I'm hoping at the very least, I don't think this is going to, I don't think they're going to change the decision on this tournament. The tournament that triggered all this, I don't think that's going to change. But it may kickstart the beginning of proper change. If anything, if the young developers and the young people in the young branch of Nintendo can take advantage of this outcry and use it to promote, to push it to the older branch and be like, listen, we have got to lighten up on shit because now it's really going to start hitting your wallet soon. And then it's going to be in the old branch's court to be like, fine or nay. And that's what's going to happen. So I think this tournament's shot, but this at least has the potential to lead to better things. And because they work for Nintendo, they can't say any of this shit to you guys. That's like the reason why none of this is like as public as it should be is because if you work at that company, if you say something, you get fired, which means you have less people there to push for these new ideas and change. So they have to silently bite their tongue and watch you guys get angry because they can't really do anything if they really want to fix the problem. Always stay hydrated, kids. So yeah. The frustration right now is why they thought releasing so much lagging space along without pushing for more options at the moment. Yeah, it's true, Wandering Soul. I keep forgetting the lag on Twitch. The lag on YouTube is worse than the lag on Twitch. Meaning I gotta wait longer for you guys to hear what I'm saying to respond to it. But I think that's the main point I wanted to really touch upon and have a conversation about. Realistically, I haven't really put out much video content for you guys. And I debated making this like a legit video, but I thought a live stream would work out better. Especially because we're around the holidays and people will probably be more invested in watching it. But I also don't want to make this too long. But if you guys have any questions or any responses to the shit I've been talking about, I'll give you guys like a couple minutes to catch up and hear it and then respond to it. I mean, I can do the game collection video. I think the Switch one I'll probably make a live stream because I have enough games to do that with. The Switch and Wii one, I'll make those legit live streams. Because they'll be long. I have enough games for those to where those could be live streams. The other ones, I'll probably just do as separate videos. Because PlayStation, my library isn't big enough. GameCube, my library isn't big enough. Um, Hell, PS3, my library isn't big enough. I might just throw those into one video because the damn thing's not big enough to do anything with. So yeah. But for Switch, I could probably Switch and Wii. I could probably make those legitimate streams, and then we could talk about the games that I may or may not need to try out. By the way, for those who are gonna jump into the Twitch stream tomorrow, the game I've decided to play is Gravity Rush 1 on PlayStation. Oh, I've actually recorded a couple more Manic episodes. Iron Mandarin, you definitely need to follow me on Twitch. I just need to post them on YouTube. But I think Manic episodes, I'm currently on like 58 or something. But I think on YouTube I'm still on like 52. I don't remember. Hold on, I can go check. Yeah, Gravity Rush 1 is when I'm going to play the remastered edition of PS4. That's what I'm playing on Wednesday. So tomorrow, look forward to that. Let me check to see where I'm at on the Manic episodes. Oh, fuck you. Let's see. I'm just checking something real quick. I started Astral Chain, I just haven't finished it. That's the problem with Astral Chain. Yeah, I'm on episode 52 on YouTube, but on Twitch, I believe I'm on like 57, 58. But Astral Chain, I just haven't finished. I started it and I've enjoyed what I played of it. I just haven't finished it. That's really the only problem with that. Oh no, don't do it. The last Manic episode I did was... Let's see. Yeah, 58. So I'm like 6 off. But yeah, free the homie melee. Definitely. Definitely. I didn't have any problems with it. It's just that other things came up. Astral Chain came out when everything got slammed. And I'm getting called. Well, that was fucking stupid. My phone wanted to go off on some dumb shit. But, yeah. So I think I'm going to cut it here because I don't want this video to run too long and people not listen to the main point. But I am surprised. I got like 30 fucking viewers right now, bro. But I think it's because of the title. But still, I got 30 fucking viewers. 30, 29 to 30 right now. I'm fucking ecstatic. So I appreciate the support, guys. I think the melee topic was interesting enough to make a video on. And also let me know in the comment section below. Oh no, Dr. Bledo, he showed up late. Watch the playback though. But in the comment section below, let me know what the next video you guys want to see from me is. I'll definitely do the collection videos, but in terms of gaming content, the problem is Manic episodes kind of cover the news part. So I want to make videos kind of like the last one I did, the guide game one. I want to make like fucking other gaming videos that are more focused, whereas like the Manic episodes touch like the news aspect. So yeah. Cyberpunk 2077. I mean, I can talk about it. We can have those videos. So and then I might also do like gameplay clips. Like the streams will be on Twitch, but maybe like maybe like spotlights on games, because I have been getting offers from certain companies to to do like videos on certain games that they have in development, so I can do a couple of those on this channel. The new channel, I decided against it. I changed my mind. I appreciate the support, Black Doom. I really do. But yeah, I'm gonna cut it for now because I want the main topic of this video to be the focus, and I don't want it to get. Actually, I think the title's down here now. YouTube keeps changing. Fucking assholes. It's ridiculous. My plans at the stream, I gotta finish a script, Lightning. Also, as far as the anime channel stuff, I have the Crunchyroll VRV video done, recorded. I just gotta edit it, and I'm gonna try to do some of that this week. So look out for more content on the way. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for the support. Thank you, Sora-san, specifically for the $20 donation. I appreciate it. Life's a game. Play to win. And I'll catch you guys later. Peace. Oh, shit. I got a fucking problem, bro.